A very good evening to one and all present, and welcome to a brand new episode of View TV by Vijay Bhubi. This is your host for the episode, Kritika Padode Bhandari, and it is my greatest privilege to welcome all my audience members and also my lovely co-panelists for this very, very unique discussion that we're going to be having today. So, well, as you know, this is a series that is very close to our heart, which we call Express with Ease Students Speak, where we are joined by a student panel every week, and we talk about, contemporary topics and topics that are very much related to and affect the life of the youth. Now, we have heard enough from educators, from parents, that according to them, what should an ideal school be? But at the end of it, it is actually the students, right, who are studying there and who are learning there and spending most of the time of the day there. So it's important for us to be able to understand from them that what is their expectations from school, what is an ideal learning environment for them, what is their expectation in terms of the environment that is created for them for, peer-to-peer interaction, what is the kind of relationship that, they'd like to see that they have with their teachers, with school administrators, because this part of any human being's life is a very important part. It's where your foundation is being created. So it's important to understand from them that what is it that they expect from school. And we, all the adults who are joining me, who are educators and parents, we can all reflect on these thoughts that are going to be shared by the students today and see what we can implement in our respective institutions or in our homes. Without further ado, let me welcome and introduce my lovely panelists who are joining me today from the D. Pillai Global Academy, Maharashtra. Firstly, I would like to thank the school and the teacher for organizing, this panel for us. And it is my privilege to announce and, introduce all my lovely panelists on today's episode. Joining me today, I have Ms. Alyssa Gupta, I have Ms. Juhi Purohit, I have Ms. Sara Kadu, I have Mr. Vansh Patel, who are joining me today. Thank you so very much, students, for taking out time from your busy schedules and, joining us today. I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts this evening. So without further wasting more time, let's now just straight dive into the discussion and the conversation with our panel that we have today. Let us, unravel what are the ideas that they have, and in their experience of being at school, what are the things that, they feel is, they requires, improvement, what are the things that we need to change. All my audience members know the format of this conversation. It's going to be, me asking my panel a lot of questions. Please make sure that you also send us a lot of your questions on the chat box feature, and I will make sure to integrate the same in my conversation with my panelists. So let us start. My first question is just first thoughts on what do you think is an ideal school, in your opinion? What are the, broad ideas that you have? What are the broad, things that need to be tick marked for a school to be an ideal school or an ideal learning environment for children? So if we can first start with Alyssa.
Okay, so when anybody says school, we always think about the academic things, okay? We don't think about overall extracurricular activities and the sporting events in the school. So I think ideal school for me is going to be where I can perform my interests and my interests are valued there, and I could if I like sports more than academics, even that is given importance there. So I think that school is something where I could grow into grow in my interest.
Fantastic. Vansh, would you like to add to what Alyssa said?
Yes, definitely. Like she said, school is, our second home. We say that because we stay 8 hours at school, we stay 8 hours at home, and then 8 hours we sleep. So it's we're spending the same amount of time with our family as much we are spending with school. So, school should be an environment where there is opportunities offered to us and not discriminating. Everybody should have a fair opportunity. Schools An ideal school should be one which will foster us to grow in the future, because after high school we might some might go for colleges, but then there are many who also directly go take jobs. They have a few responsibilities to take. So I think no, it's not always that graduate undergraduate schools only should have that practical knowledge, but then I feel at the same time we should also be taught the practical life in school, where we are taught the basic accounting, basic in general the basic needs of life are being taught. And then there's, like my friend Eliza said, there should be a holistic development, not too much of academics, not too much of pressure. There should be a balance of everything.
Absolutely. I think those are some very good points that both of you have made there. Very important to have an equal environment in school. Second, school should promote holistic development of students. And third, and most importantly, they must make sure that in their curriculum, they're delivering essential life skills to students. Because like you said, some may not be in the, appropriate financial situation that, they can actually pursue higher education. They might have to start working. And nonetheless, even if you have to be pursuing higher education, right, you want your education to be relevant and to be skill-based, right, which would sort of make you useful in the years to come. Juhi, would you like to add something to that, to what your co-panelists have said?
Sure. I feel like school is like the very first stepping stone in every child's life. Therefore, when we talk about an ideal school, there are a lot of parameters need to be taken in consideration, like includes of education, general discipline, several extracurriculars, faculty, and teaching. Though more prominently, in my opinion, a school that provides an experience, as both of my friends said, and holistic development, and an experience that not only focuses on academic excellence, but an overall development for a child's just character development, emotional, physical, and all sorts of. For example, speaking out of personal experience, like our school have rifle shootings, gymnastics, and different activities that made us learn something from every turn.
Super, super. Sarah, would you like to add something? I mean, a lot of points have been covered, but I'm sure you might have your unique take on it. So let's hear.
Yeah, sure. So I think the school should have a holistic development where both equal importance should be given to studies as well as sports. Our school has so many sports that a school should help a student and a child find out what its real interest is. So if a student is very good at studies and they want to pursue studies, so that child's ability of studying should be praised and help them understand that what field you want to go in. If a student is better at sports, so you give him him or her the opportunity to devote more hours to sports rather than studies, because if the child is well aware that what it wants to do, then I say basic studies is enough. And if the child is interested more in sports, then you could teach the child more in sports. And as my co-panelists said, their points.
No, absolutely. I think choice-based learning is definitely something that needs to be introduced in India. And thankfully, the NEP is intending to do that. We have to wait and watch how much of it would be implemented.
Yes.
Now, my next question is, the backbone of any educational institution is the teachers. And they are the people who you're constantly, interacting with on a daily basis. And they're like major influencers, if I may say so, in your lives. So what kind of teachers and faculty do you want to interact with in schools, and what kind of a relationship would you prefer to have with them in school? So if we can start first with you, Juhi. Juhi, you're on mute. If you may please unmute yourself. Thank you.
I'm so sorry. Sure. In my view, students would want to interact with teachers who are warm and supportive, increase enjoyment and excitement about learning, and gives emphasis on students' interests and point of view. As you said, I believe that the bond between a student and a teacher is like, the most significant role in the trajectory of his child's life. So when it comes to interacting with teachers who are motivating and more relevant to our lives, which applaud us on what we're doing, or maybe uplift us when we're low, have a very significant impact on us. We can take a basic example of this pandemic situation where, we couldn't have face-to-face interactions with our teachers, but how they go out of their ways to help us and have frequent interactions, and still made it possible for us to approach them without difficulties, even if it's not very conventional.
Lovely. I think I totally agree. I mean, any child for that matter, because it's a home away from home, it's very important that school needs to be a place where they feel comfortable and where they, enjoy a relationship of warmth between, themselves and the teacher, and they feel comfortable. I think that's really key in this entire scheme of things. If we can have, Vansh, what do you think about it? Anything you'd like to add?
Yes, definitely. Whenever I think about the role of teachers, there's this amazing movie Hitchki. That movie, it actually shows that no matter what the school are, what type of school is, what type of students you have, Rani Mukherjee shows how important it is to have good teachers, because the class which they were in, with a bunch of slum people, children from slum, they did not have the privilege to be in their division A, which, or that elite school had. But then that teacher, she was actually the one who made their grow their interest. Like one of the girl was interested in cooking, so she told that there will be chemistry behind that cooking. One of the children was very good in maths, but then he had to practically, she showed a practical life entirely. So it is very important that a teacher, has differentiated learning for every student, because no, everybody is definitely not the same. So somebody might have some strengths, somebody might have some other weaknesses. So it is very important for, I would definitely love those teachers, which do not just generalize everybody into one stereotypical student, but then he or she, tries her best or his best to adapt to everybody's needs with all different methods of learning, like my friend Juhi said. So in this pandemic, it is very important to adapt to different newer methods of learning. So that is what I think is very important.
Absolutely. And I think that's a very good point you've made. I mean, just the need for, more personalized learning in schools, because unfortunately what happens is that, we assume that, everybody has the same learning abilities and capabilities, but we don't realize that every child's unique actually. And what methodology might work for one may not work for the other. So it's not the one size fits all sort of principle that is applicable there. Now, I'm going to take off from that context that you have given to my next question, which I think is very important and, somewhere lies at the heart of this discussion, which is what is the ideal learning environment and teaching methodology that students would want in schools today? So if we can first start with Sarah, what do you think? You've been in school for so long. So what is it that you think is the perfect teaching methodology, and what is the ideal learning environment for students?
I think the ideal learning environment is a student should feel comfortable firstly when he or she is sitting to study something, and that comfortable, where they feel comfortable only when the bond with their teacher is very strong, and that bond will be created if the student and teacher have a very open relationship and they share with each other. And the teacher should not discriminate definitely between the students, or the student will not feel the need to go and talk to her. So I think that is a very important role to, that makes the environment needed for the student and the teacher.
Fantastic. Alyssa, would you like to add to that question?
Yeah, like interactive teaching methods is like very important nowadays, because like everything is online, and when like we are being interactive, we also like the students also get in confident that they're going correct and they're right. So I think interactive teaching is a good method. Like everybody, like all teachers should like adapt to right now.
Totally agree with you. I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think also this pandemic somewhere has, given that, I think that much needed push to teachers that, where they've had to experiment quite a bit with their pedagogies and methodologies that they're using to teach. And I think we've had quite a few successful experiments. And I think all of us have come to realize how technology can be an enabler to enhance learning for students. Obviously not a replacement for physical teachers, but definitely somewhere it can assist in enhancing the learning of students. Totally agree with you there. So now while we've spoken about schools, we've spoken about teachers, it's really important also to talk about, the kind of support that students need from home, right? Because honestly, the kind of mindset the student comes to, in school with, all of that is determined by, what is the sort of environment that a student has at home, Also, it's a product, of your relationship with your parents, etc. So, if I were to ask you guys, what is the kind of support do you expect from your parents, during this journey when you're in your, school years? So, Vansh, let's start with you. What is your expectation?
Because whenever we are not at school, we are at home. So parents are definitely those who play the most important role in a child's in life, because from the very beginning, when we are sending them to school, it is important that parents are motivating, because a student might be tired from all the school work and everything, but then when he comes home, whenever you feel that a mother's that a warm hug, or that father's encouragement, it is very that just it enriches you. That totally increases your motivation to work more. So therefore definitely it is very important that parents are very encouraging of a child's need always. But that does not mean that always if I've done something good, I receive appraisal for that. But then that does not mean that parents should discourage somewhere whenever I've not done something good. So that support, that trust is also very important, because not every time I might win. There might be times when I might lose as well. So that time, that emotional support is also very important.
Right. No, I think that's a very good point, that you want your parents to be supportive throughout the entire journey and give you the adequate amount of encouragement, so that you're able to bloom while you're in school. Juhi, would you like to add something to that, to what just Vansh said?
Sure, I guess in my opinion, as one said, like parent support is a very important significance in a student's life. So mostly all our parents are very encouraging and supportive and have been reassuring whenever we've been feeling low. Though I feel during our journey, it is very paramount that our parents are even believing in us and respect our perspective sometimes, whether it be academics or sports. I feel constant motivation and support from them do wonders from us. For example, I've seen students like they've been under pressure and a lot of expectations from parents that to perform well. So I guess even if a child hasn't performed well, or is not that doing well in whichever studies or sport, they must just have a push, or as Vansh said, the smallest gestures do wonders.
Totally agree with you. So I think that we are talking about, a very positive sort of a push, and not the nagging sort of push, which can actually bring down the confidence of students. Definitely, yes, it's important to celebrate even the smallest of victories to boost their confidence. But having said that, obviously every time everything's not going right, there might be situations where, you have not done as well as you expected. So even there, you expect that, your parent would actually sit with you, help you analyze and introspect what went wrong, rather than just drilling down that, how horribly you've done, and, this was not expected out of you. I totally agree. I think that can really make a world of a difference, also in the outlook and attitude of a child, and can actually, if a child is positive, a student is positive, I think the learning curve would definitely be far better than what it is if a child is demotivated or under stress or pressure from home. So obviously now we've spoken about teachers, we've spoken about parents. The other most important is your peers in school, and so again, in India you have a diverse set of schools, right? So you have some schools which are more liberal. There's some schools which are very conservative in terms of peer-to-peer interaction. So I'd like to know that what do the students think? What is the kind of environment they want from peer-to-peer interaction, and why do they think that it's very important? So Alyssa, can we start with you first?
Yes, before a bond between a student and teacher, it's most important that a student has a bond with his classmates. So I think schools, everybody should have a non-judgmental kind of bond with each other, because if we are not open with our classmates, and if we don't have a confidence to speak up to them, so we won't even make a bond with the teacher. So I think everybody should be judgmental and help each other out in this time, every time, so that we could help others also with us to grow and to learn themselves, reach best they could achieve of themselves.
Lovely. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think, there should be a very non-judgmental approach that should be employed by the school. Totally agree with you there. Vansh, what do you think? What is the perfect, balance that you have? Like, what kind of an environment would you want to interact with your peers, and what's the merit that you see in it?
Like similar to what Eliza said, definitely non-judgmental is very important, because there should not be that toxic competition between peers, because in school we all are there to develop our personalities, to grow mentally, like support each other. So it is very important that peers support each other at every moment. So like I should not be feared to ask some of my friend with ashamed, like I should not be ashamed to ask somebody if I don't know. There should always be this open-mindedness between the peers. And then second most important thing that I feel is there's many times we see that there's a lot of gender bias in schools. So that is where it is very important that there's no gender bias as such. Like boys tend to group up with boys, there's a girls group, so that is very important. So there should be a understanding that it is not groupism that is important, that will foster your development. It is actually when you collaboratively work with everybody, that is what will actually help you.
I think that's a very good point you made there, Vansh. That yes, we like it or not, but we tend to also indulge in a lot of sexism unknowingly. And there's a general tendency of boys grouping with boys, girls grouping with girls. And then there's a lot of stereotyping also that happens that should not happen, because the idea is that, all of us should work together, learn from each other. And that would only happen when you interact with everybody as a collective, and not just like, select your pockets that where you're going to interact. Totally agree with you there. Now, we've spoken about holistic development. All four of you have, in your various responses, spoken about how it's important that schools need to focus on holistic development. So here, obviously, I need to ask you that, what is the kind of balance that you want schools to strike between, extracurricular activities and your curricular activities, which is basically your academic activities. Because, you notice that usually in like junior school and a part of middle school, schools are more open to having like more extracurricular activities. There's lesser pressure. And then you see, as you tread closer to the senior years, suddenly it's more about academics. And for a lot of children who actually may not be very academically oriented, it can be quite a saddening process, because suddenly they don't have anything to look forward to. So what is the sort of balance do you think schools need to strike, and how they should do it? So Juhi, can we start with you first?
Sure, I guess there should be a considered balance and a student interest oriented balance where, as you said, like all of us are different, and they may have different interests, different goals. Like some might be academically goaled, or they may have any goals to aspire in sports. So there should be a balance where each one can go for whatever they would want. I feel that not only in India but wherever, there's a lot of stereotyped societal norm that as you said, great higher level students they tend to only be focused to academics and not allowed to go for sports or go for extracurriculars that they would like. So I guess they would they should take in consideration students' interests and their aspirations there.
That totally, I think I agree with you there completely. I think this is something I feel, especially Indian schools, really need to get a grip on this particular situation. Sarah, how would you agree with what Juhi said, or you think differently?
Yes, I absolutely agree what Juhi said, because I think as far as India is concerned, in India, the parents are very stereotypical, the society is very stereotypical, and they feel that there is no future in sports, which is absolutely wrong. And they think that a child should study till a certain age and then should start working. That is absolutely wrong. I think if the student and child is more interested in sports from the very beginning, you can help him or her aspire his dream by concentrating on his ability and his physique more, and helping him become more successful at sports rather than studies.
Totally agree with you there. I think it's really, I mean, you have to push the student in the direction that, they are inclined towards. I think that's very important. Like school has to provide that sort of enabling environment and has to be that accepting of choices. Now, all of you are also again in the boat where you're going to be like you're nearly at the flag end of your school journey. You're now going to be moving ahead. One thing that you can see very prominently that is now coming up in schools is career counseling, and it's sometimes starting as early as grade 7 or grade 8. So I'd like to know from you guys, what is the nature of career counseling that you would like from schools? Because there's only so much exposure that even your parents can give to you at home. So obviously there is one part of the responsibility that is shouldered by schools as well to show you as many diverse options as possible. So how do you think that they should handle career counseling in schools? Vansh, if we could start with you.
Yes, I definitely agree. Because like career counseling is very important to because a student might not know what exactly is the entire process of, for example, applying to universities. What exactly should I do to find out my interest? Because there of course there are many people who have certain set of interests, but then there are also people who are actually exploring options, and they might be interested in economics, they might be interested in mathematics, even physics. So it's important that career counselors actually help students narrow down choices and support them throughout the entire, that high school process or before process of college application, because these all small things will actually help them even ahead in life. Because during high school, if you have a good career counselor, they also teach you that universities these days do not just want academics, right? They want a balance of everything. They want you to volunteer. They want you to, take some internships, get some experience. So that nature of career counseling where, you can openly share with your counselor what exactly your expectations are, what you want to achieve. So that open-mindedness is what I think that is very important.
Totally, I totally agree with you that there has to be that openness and the willingness, and I think also there has to be a bit of a hand holding, if I may say so. Like it has to be super personalized. It cannot, again, like learning, it can't be the one size fits all. And I think the school also has to make a very strategic effort to expose students to different disciplines, and not only the conventional disciplines like in engineering, medicine, law, but you need to have like different fields like music, performing arts, more of now since we're talking about liberal education, NEP is also talking about that. So exposing them more to the concept of liberal education, what liberal universities are doing, what are the different combinations that you can explore. So totally, I agree with you there, Vansh. Eliza, what about you? What has it been in your experience? What do you think should be improved? If we can hear from you on this.
Yeah, my answer is like pretty similar to what Vansh's answer is. So like we should be told from a very like beginning, like 9th grade or 8th grade, that what we are like expected to do, and we should be like open. They should inform us about the different opportunities that are from us. Like not restrict us to only the common things that are like medicine, engineering, and law. They should tell us like the different things that we need to achieve to make to build up our portfolios and stand out. So I think that like they should like tell us, inform us about everything like totally. That is upcoming.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, I think even the schools have to constantly be on their toes and figure out, okay, where are the emerging opportunities? I mean, they also have to take a little bit of futuristic perspective, right? Not just think about what's happening at the moment. But you guys would like graduate in the next, like, I'm guessing six years, right? So 5 to 6 years. So think about that, okay, 5 to 6 years, how's the world going to look, and what are the kind of opportunities that these students can tap into? So totally agree. It has to be, it has to be well thought of, well structured. There has to be some research backing it. Definitely, I think there's a lot of room for improvement. Yeah, Vansh, you wanted to say something.
Like adding to this, we talk about career counseling then, but one thing I forgot to mention is, mental counseling, some emotional support is also very important, which I really admire about, foreign education, because in India the concept of counseling is only not given much importance, because high school is a very pressuring, that there's too much of pressure. You're balancing academics, social, extracurriculars, so that mental support is also very important, where you can share your feelings with a counselor and be able to be remove off that burden from your chest. So that is like what I felt is very important.
I think, yeah, that's a very important point that you made there. We end up focusing so much on career counseling that we don't realize that actually students are battling a lot of mental health issues. There are a lot of them, I think, facing anxiety. Now with social media, the cyberbullying, the stalking, people are facing body image issues. So I think it's really important that there has to be an outlet in school where they can actually seek professional help, speak to somebody, because they may not feel comfortable sharing these issues with, people at home because they're scared of getting judged. So I think that's a very valid point you've made there. I think Sarah also wants to make a point here, and then we'll come to Julie.
Yeah, I wanted to add about how our school, like my school, has indulged the career counseling. They gave us opportunities, and they had called in so many university fairs. They had called in so many university fairs, around 40 university fairs, and so many students, helped shortlist a university also. And they decided, like after the universities came in, our principal Sharda ma'am, she told us that you all can decide from these universities what do you all want to pursue. And so many students found their actual interest, that what do they really want to pursue. One went into music and arts, one went into financial business and financial, so many things. So I think it's very important, the need of counseling to be indulged in a student's life at a very young age, so that helps them realize what they want to actually pursue.
Exactly. I think that's also a very good intervention, which was, I think, initiated by a principal, Sharda ma'am, at the Deep Pillai Academy, which is to get as many universities. I mean, it's not a joke to get 40 universities. Obviously, you're getting 40 universities. They're different areas, different disciplines. So again, you're offering like a plethora of options to students to choose from. Totally. I think that's a great intervention by the school there. Juhi, over to you. You wanted to make a point.
Yeah, I would just like to add something, as you say, with all the university and all the colleges applications and all, I guess what we even given is like some guidance and a sense of direction in areas we're unaware of. Like when we say about higher education, like, as you said, there are very paramount stuff that, okay, engineering, medical, or law, but the education is evolving and there are various expertise now we can go through. So I guess, yeah, schools have inhabited that, and that's a good thing.
I think I agree there. So in fact, all the educators who are joining me on today's conversation, I think it's really important for all of us to sit up and take notice of these things, because I think somewhere we are failing on these counts. We are not giving that adequate exposure that we should be giving. So it's important that we should incorporate this for students at the earliest, because this is what is actually going to help them realize what they really want to do, what they really want to be. Until you don't expose them, they won't get a chance to actually make the decision and actually figure out first and what are all the options that are available to them and what are they most inclined towards. Now, I see we're running out of time, but I have to definitely ask you this one last question, which is that, schools, especially in senior years, also tend to create a lot of stress for students. So how can schools perform better on that and, create lesser amount of stress for students, and really be places where, students look forward to going every day? Juhi, let's start with you.
I guess like there are a number of ways. For example, currently, as we are almost on the stage of going in 12th, and also we have a timetable which is very flexible and allows us time to go and distress. We have like common classrooms when there was physical school, and I guess when it comes to unburdening yourself from the pressure that from studies or of college applications, I guess the amount of praise and communication we have with our teachers and how they guide us, that we can delay this deadline or we can delay this assignments. I guess that support and that relationship which occurs is what unburdens us the most.
I think that is a very good thing. Like, you need to create more and more openings for children to be able to de-stress themselves, because that's what's going to give them, like a moment to pause, rejuvenate and refresh their mindset and come back to academics. Sarah, would you like to add something that how can, schools be places where, they are inducing less stress in students?
Yeah, I think stress, not stress, but I think there is a certain form of pressure from the school that is healthy pressure, which helps the student, reach its limits. There are probably two assignments given together, not the big ones, but the small ones. So a student will learn to manage time and, allocate time to what it's required. So the student will know its limits. Yes, I can do this much in this much amount of time. But when they give too many assignments and they end up, stressing out the student, I think that shouldn't be done. As Juhi said, in our school we have a gymnastics room, we have a library, we have a common room where during lectures, if you don't have a lecture of yours, you students go in the common room and discuss about studies, their interests. I think every school should have this certain amount of time in the day where the students get to gel up and de-stress themselves.
Totally agree with you there. And I think, I think this is very good feedback for educators. If you don't have these spaces already, I think create them. I mean, now that we are kind of heading towards physical schools again, I think it's a good idea to create these spaces where children can interact with each other in between classes and pursue their interests, etc. I mean, we do this at workplaces, adults do it as well, right? So we have breakout rooms that are created, where people can chill in between work, catch up with each other. So if we can have something like that for students also, I think it will definitely make a very positive impact in their personalities and also help them handle the pressure better. I think I've had a wonderful conversation with all four of you. It's been such a delight conversing with all of you. And I think some of the ideas that you have shared are definitely, I think, for a lot of us are food for thought and, ideas that we can implement immediately in our institutions. So thank you very much to all four of you, to all the lovely teachers at DPillai World Academy for helping us put this together. I really think this has been a wonderful conversation that I've had. And I would like to thank all our audience members. Thank you very much for joining us in such large numbers. It is because of the, your response and the way you attend these webinars, the questions you ask us that actually motivate us to bring this on a weekly basis and curate content for all of you. So with this is your host signing off for today, Kritika Padode Bhandari. We'll see you again next week, same time, with a new set of students where we'll be discussing mental health issues of students. Thank you very much, everybody. It was such a privilege to be speaking with all four of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.